Hi, everybody. You're lucky because today we are learning how to make a checkerboard stocking. And checkerboard is having a moment. I mean, it's kind of classic. It came back in like the late 80s, early 90s, but it's back again, and it's really kind of a weird traditional vibe, but also you can go super modern with it. I wanted to show you how easy it is to make so that you guys can customize it to your current decor. We were talking earlier before class started how sometimes it's fun to change it up a little bit and do something different each year. And if we're spending more time at home, like you just might need something else to make. So today, I've got some samples in red and white and also blue and white, which you may have seen on the Instagram samples, but we are also going to be making something with like tonal colors. So that's what we're working on today. First, I wanted to say thank you to Michaels and Fiskars for making this possible. Zoom meetings are fun sometimes, right? And I wanted to go over all of the supplies that we're going to be needing for this project. The tools that I have, they are all Fiskars. These are things that I've been using for years because they make everything easier if you're a quilter, especially, and you really rely on straight lines and angles to make sure all of your piecing is going to match up. A rotary cutter, they've got a few options, but this one is like really supposed to be easy on the wrist, and I love it because it's got the security lock. So if my kids come into my studio space, I can make sure I have it locked and they're not going to pick it up and accidentally cut themselves. Also, I'm going to be using today the fold up acrylic ruler that Fiskars has, and you can find all of these in Michael's stores and also online. But this is really handy if you have a small space but you really work with large pieces. It just folds right up. And so that's fantastic. I also am going to be working with these little snips. They're super sharp, perfect for really quickly trimming off your ends, or if you just miss the spot and you need to clip something off really quickly, or cut around an angle and you don't want to use your rotary cutter. So those are the tools that I'm going to be using today, along with my self-healing cutting mat, which you can't see in this picture, but it's down here. You're also going to need straight pins and your sewing machine and whatever coordinating color cotton thread that you want to use. So that's all the tools. Next, you can see, I think on the registration page, it showed you the pieces of fabric that you're going to need. I'm going to set these aside real quick, tuck them over here, and I'm going to switch over real quick to the other top-down camera, and it's going to be a little bit slow in getting started, but we're still here. Was it hard to choose y'all's colors? It was kind of hard for me to know exactly what I wanted to use because I like all the colors. Okay, if this isn't going to work here in a second. Okay, we're good. Okay, so I have strips of my two different colors. Before you cut them into strips, I think I mentioned you need a 1/2 yard of fabric A in this color and a 1/2 yard of fabric B in the other color. And then if you want to use one of those two colors for your backing, I think that still gives you enough. I'm gonna have to double check on that. But I am using a white for my backing. So I guess this will be my fabric C. So you have two colors for the front and checkerboards. And this is lagging a little bit on this video, but it'll fix itself here in a second. And then your fabric C for your backing, unless you want to use one of the same colors. You are also going to use, so that's fabric A, B, and C. You're going to need 2 cuts of any kind of cotton. This is just white cotton that I don't even know if it's necessarily quilting cotton. This part is not going to be seen, but it is the interior of your stocking. So these are exteriors, these are quilting cottons. This I'm not sure, but it is cotton. It's going to be your interior. You need 2 pieces of this. And I think these are like fat quarter size. So that's fabric D. And then on the registration page, I have a larger piece of batting than you really need. We're going to only use the batting on the front side instead of on the front and the back. So again, this is like a fat quarter size. It's kind of hard to see on this smaller camera space, but they need to be at least, I'm going to say 13 by 20. So 13 by 20 is going to be bigger than what our quilt top is going to be for the stocking. So that's what we have. The batting, the 2 pieces of about 13 by 20 for the interior. And then we have fabric A, fabric B, and fabric C. And if you have a half yard of all of those, great. We're going to be cutting these down. So I'm going to set those 2 aside. The very first thing that you need to do for your checkerboard, after you've washed and dried your fabrics, you want to iron them flat because you don't want wrinkly fabric. It's not going to line up as well if it's wrinkled. Now you can see mine has a little bit of wrinkle to it, but you want to iron these to make sure you are getting the crispest, cleanest lines as possible. And then you want to cut your fabric into strips that are 2.5 wide by 17 long. I'm going to scoop this over. So 2.5 by 17 is the measurement that we are going to use for the strips in both colors. And because of time constraints, I'm not going to cut all of those out during this video, but I wanted to show you kind of what they look like size-wise. You are going to need 5 strips that measure 2.5 by 17 in fabric A. There's 5 here. And also 5 strips in fabric B. Okay, so that's 10 strips total. Once you have cut these out, and again, I suggest using your Fiskars tools, rotary cutter and acrylic ruler. This is going to give you the cleanest, straightest line instead of trying to like draw it out with a pencil and cut it by hand. And it's so much faster. Okay, so I've got all my strips here. What you want to do next is sew your strips together in like an A-B pattern. So I'm going to split these over here. You've got your first strip and your second strip, and then we're going to, you can lay it out if you want to, or you can just pull from your different piles and set these aside. Okay, so you're going to line them up, and there's going to be, again, 5 total of this color and 5 total of this color. So you're going to have 10 strips going all the way across. Now my camera space, desk space, isn't big enough to show you what that's going to look like. So I'm just going to show you kind of a smaller version so that you can follow along and get the idea without having to see all of that. Oh, and one more thing that you're going to need from your scraps of your fabric, any one of the fabrics, is a 2, I think this is 2. Yeah, a 2-inch by 6-inch piece for the stocking holder. So we're going to set that aside as well. Sorry, that just is floating around here. Okay, so starting with this A-B pattern, you want to line this long line up together. You're going to put fabric A or B on top of the other one with the right side spacing. So if you're not using a solid and you have a patterned fabric with like, you know, a cute little design on it, you want those right sides to be facing each other. You're going to line those two up so that they're flush, and then we're going to pin down the long side here. So I've got straight pins here. I'm going to do it backwards because I'm using the wrong hand. And I would say maybe every 4 or 5 inches, just to keep things from slipping. And just to give you a visual, you're going to stitch a 1/4 inch in from the edge here, this long edge that goes down here. Set those aside. Bring my machine over. Okay, so I'm starting at the top of those long edges. I know you can't see that right now. And I'm going to start by back stitching. So you should have a knob on your sewing machine that allows you to go backwards and forwards with your stitches, even though most of our machines are a little bit different. I always want to back stitch at the top and then again at the bottom. So now that I've got that done, I'm going to go along the length of these two. So you're going to see it once it starts coming out of the machine. And remove your pins as you go so you don't run those over. And I've mentioned in previous classes, you don't want to be pulling anything through your machine when you're stitching. You can gently hold on to it, but you don't want to be like pulling it through that side because that can affect the tension on your top and your bottom stitches. Back stitch at the very end. I have a pretty basic machine here. It's like the economy version. So if anybody else has one of those too, you can really do a lot with those. So you can see here, I've used kind of a contrasting thread so you'd be able to see how far in. That's about a 1/4 inch in from the long edge. And I stitched from the top all the way down to the bottom. So now I'm going to fold open those two pieces so that just visually you can see where they're going to be. I'm not going to iron this yet. I'm going to wait till I'm finished just to get this going a little bit quicker. So next we're going to add our second piece of this color. And this is the right side for all intents and purposes. This is going to go onto the right side of that piece. And I want to line it up again, making sure things are mostly even up here at the top, if you have to adjust it a little bit. As precise as possible, but there's a little charm if things aren't going to be matching up. But all of these precision points of like lining up the top and the bottom fabric and cutting things all exactly the same are really going to go a long way in making sure that your checkerboard pattern looks its coolest. Okay, so I've pinned this part right here, and I'm going to stitch again all the way down. I'm going to do this pretty quickly and then fast forward a little bit. Pardon me for my squeaky machine. I definitely need to take it in to get serviced and cleaned. It's starting to make a little bit louder noises than usual. Okay, so I'm always trimming my ends kind of as I go because it bugs me. Opening that up, and you're going to repeat this process again. Next color goes on top, pin it along the side, and then you stitch along the side until you've got yourself a pattern. Now, this is not the full, this does not contain all of my strips. This is just fast forwarding it a little bit. Okay, so I've got them all together, and I'm going to flip it over. I have already ironed this, sort of. It's still wrinkly. Everything, all of your stitches, all of your seams, you want to iron in one direction. Now, this is not standard advice for every project ever. This is just for this checkerboard project. We're going to be flipping some of these. So all of the seams need to go either all to the right or all to the left. So just iron everything in one direction. And I will show you why in the next step. Once you've ironed the back, go ahead and iron on the front too. And just make sure everything kind of gets flattened. So you might need to use your ruler to trim off the end on one side. You don't need to do both sides, but I'm just going to show you real quick. The side that you do start with, you are going to want to trim. I'll move this machine over. So pretend that this is not 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 pieces, but this is 10 pieces total. I want to line up the top part here and line up one of my edges and kind of gauge to see how straight everything is. And then I'm going to put my acrylic ruler on top of my cutting mat. And things bow a little bit in towards the middle here. So things might not be 100% true on both sides, but I'm getting it as straight as possible. And I'm going to trim off my rough edges here. So got my rotary cutter here. Got my acrylic ruler lined up with my lines on my cutting mat. I'm going to trim that off. And now I have a nice, straight, clean edge to work with. Get those out of the way. Okay, so once you have, again, 10, not 6 of these together, and you've trimmed off your top side, we're going to cut this into rows. Let's see if I can do this where you can see it a little bit better. I want to cut this into 2.5-inch rows. So I'm going to measure over 2.5 inches, and I'm going to line that up with my ruler. Again, you want to be as precise as you can on all of these. I'm going to scoot it out of the way so that I can always make sure I know and I can see clearly where my edge is. Now it's on the half-inch mark. So I'm going to count in half plus 2, put it on 11 here. Line everything up. There's another one. So now I have 2 rows cut. And I'm going to keep working on this next one. You are going to need 6 rows. So I've got 4. I'm almost there. And you'll have a little bit left over. Another 2.5. Okay, so I've got 6 rows, and then this is kind of scrap. So I'm gonna pull that off, move my ruler. Now the reason that you have an even number of both colors is because that's going to play a big part in your pattern. You're going to flip over every other row. So take number 2 and flip it. 3, number 4, flipped that one, there's 5, and there's number 6. So we flipped it. Now your corners right here should pretty much meet up. If they're slightly off, it might just be because of this, mine's not ironed super flat, so that might come into play, but you can see where this design is going. Things are looking good. Okay, so you've got 10 rows total. Sorry, no, you've got 6 rows total, but there's still 10 across. The next thing that we are going to do is stitch these together. So I'm going to put most of these over here. And I'm going to make sure the second one, and this is the top part, this is the right side, it's going to flip over to the first one. And I'm going to pin in each square because I don't want things pulling here. I'm going to pin in each square, but first I'm going to make sure my corners are lining up. So you can see where here, when you flip them over, I'll do it this way. When you flip them over, some of the seams are folded this way and the other seams are folded that way. So the seams are folded in opposite directions. And that's important because when you stitch them together, it creates not only less bulk. If you had both of these, layers of fabric here all stitched together, it would just make a big bump in your stocking. Creates less bulk, but it also helps you to line things up so that the front parts of where your seams are, they kind of fit together. So I'm going to, again, make sure everything's in the right order. This one's going to go on top of this one. I'm going to make sure that my seam here and my seam here fit together really nicely. And then I'm going to use lots of straight pins. Unless you're seasoned seamstress and you feel really confident about skipping straight pins, feel free to, but I suggest adding 1 per square, at least on the first part. Once you get closer to the bottom, things are mostly gonna stay in place. Okay, so now we're going to start stitching at the top, back stitch, and then stitch all the way along that pinned side. Again, 1/4 inch in from your edge. Make sure that your 2 strips are as flush as possible, and just check on your corners as you're stitching them down. I'm going to scoot everything over. I'm going to switch over to the other camera, see if you can see a little bit how this is going to go through the machine. I ran out of bobbin thread right before class, and I'm so glad, because if that had happened during class, I would have been pretty embarrassed. So we should be good now. You can see with it on or off, I'm not sure, but you can see I've got it lined up with the edge of my foot. If you want to tape off a 1/4 inch from where your needle is going to be in from the edge and then put a piece of tape there, that can work as your guide as you work your fabric through. Some machines also have little markers on this metal plate, whatever works best for you, but making sure that everything is about 1/4 inch in. Consistency is like the most important part. So I back stitch a little bit, and I'm gonna just take my first pin out. And as you are stitching through and your seams that are facing towards your needle, just kind of push those down before they go under your presser foot. And make sure the one underneath is facing the opposite direction. Gotta keep stopping to get these needles out. And again, keep checking as you work through. If your corners are not meeting up, it's not gonna break Christmas. So it's gonna be okay. But that will get easier the more comfortable you get with making checkerboard projects. Okay. Where did my scissors go? There's a lot of repetition in this project. So I'm gonna fast forward again, but first, show you. Okay, so we have stitched along the length of it here. We open it up here. This is the front side. My corners are mostly behaving themselves, but they're a little bit off. I think right here. I'm not sad about it. Not sad. Okay, don't be sad if that happens to you. It's taken a while. I've been working on checkerboard projects all year. I have quilts. I have unfinished quilts, but I've been doing a lot of checkerboards. It takes a minute to get there. Okay. So this is how the front looks, and the back, we're going to talk about these seams again. We do not want to be ironing all these seams to the side. Unless you're feeling really lazy or rushed, that's fine. But if you press open your seam, the long ones down the middle, it takes a little bit of patience, but once you get it flat and you open these up and you press them, that is going to let everything on the front look so much better and cleaner and more flat. If you press everything over to one side, it's going to bulk up that side of your fabric, and it's going to sit higher than the one next to it. And again, it's fine, but some people are real particular about this, and this is why. If you have the patience to open that long seam and press that flat, it's going to end up looking really nice. So I always do that on the front and the back. Once you've got your first two together, take another one. Make sure you are not lining them up like this, because that will change your pattern. Make sure that it's an AB pattern. So double check the top squares whenever you're doing this. And you're gonna line these up right here again on that long side, stitch together, open it up, and magically, you're gonna get something like this. Okay, so now this is the full size quilt top for where you're stocking. There are 6 rows across. That's the width of our stocking. And come back here, and there are 10 rows from top to bottom. Now, this is based on a stocking that I already had at my house. If you want all of your stockings to be the same size that you already have, use one as your template. It should fit this size. If not, you can always just trim the template of your stocking down a little bit. Like, what I like to do is get like a piece of either chipboard paper or paper bag or wrapping paper even. Place your stocking on that and trace it with a pencil. Cut it out. That's your template. If you place it on here and it's too big, just cut like another 1/2 inch off around the whole inside part. Just the shape is really what you need to make it look cool. But the stocking that I use is really big. So I don't think there's gonna be any out there unless you just go big on everything that are too big for this size, okay? So now we've got our finished quilt top. I'm gonna switch to my other camera to show you what is next. And it's gonna take a second because it is a little persnickety.
You're getting positive comments in the chat, so you know.
Yay, I'm glad y'all are enjoying the process. I've done a few like trial by error, learn the hard way things on this one. I'm hoping this is going to be showing up here soon. There we go, we're back. Okay, so now what we need to do is get your fabric for the back side of your stocking. This is your fabric, what did I say? C? This is fabric C. Mine is white. You can do the same color as your that's already in your stocking or something completely different. If you're a maximalist and you like lots of print and pattern, this is another way to make it cool in the back, even if no one might ever see it. So we are going to have this and this, as well as a piece of batting. Let's see, we want to first lay our batting and then our quilt top. I'm still waiting on my camera. It's gonna get there in a second. I'll flip this around. The batting and quilt top are down. Then we're gonna take our, nope, not that one, this one. Fabric C, which is the back side. And you're going to put it facing, if it's a print, like this is the right side, this is the wrong side, but mine's a solid, so it doesn't matter. Put the right side facing the right side. And make sure that it's flush with the top and one of the sides at least. And the template that you use, which is going to be a stocking that you already have, if you do not have a stocking, you know there's a lot at Michael's. There's also, you know, wherever you get your hands on a stocking, cut it out onto a piece of wrapping paper, cut out your wrapping paper template. You're going to place that here on top. Now I'm going to go ahead and use the stocking I've already made. That is based off of a stocking I already had, which is very meta of me, right? And I'm going to, with a pencil or chalk or whatever you have, you want to trace your template all the way around to the other side. Okay, so line up the top part so that you have maybe like at least a 1/4 inch of extra of your quilt top and your back side. Give yourself at least a 1/4 to a 1/2 inch up here. And then you're going to trace either exactly as the template is, or if you have a little more wiggle room and you want to make it bigger, you can trace like a 1/4 inch around. But I'm just going to go ahead and trace around the template. I do not even have my pen here, so I'm going to cut this out. You know, you cannot see me cutting down here at the bottom. I'm getting there. But make sure that you know exactly where your placement is on all 3 of the pieces before you start cutting, because you cannot uncut all that hard work. I'm gonna use my rotary cutter for this part because it's straight. There we go, that was fast. Okay, so basically, give yourself about a 1/4 inch all the way around. And all of these details, because I know I'm kind of jumping over back and forth here, all of these are going to be recorded in this video so that you can go back and access it and push pause and be like, what'd she say? Or go over a certain technique over and over again. And then also there will be a blog post coming up this weekend with pictures so that if you're not a video person and you prefer the old-fashioned slow way of reading directions and seeing step-by-step pictures, then you can do that too. It's kind of my jam. All right, I'm gonna use my rotary cutter here again, because it is a little bit faster on the straight sides. Goodness, that was hard work. All right, so now you can see here, you have your back piece, your quilt top, and your batting. We are going to pin this together around the edges. You don't have to pin the top part. We're going to pin around the whole perimeter of the stocking minus the top. And then we're going to stitch. We're going to start with the back stitch and we're going to go all the way around. Not the top part. Keep the top part open. That's where the presents go. Okay, so I'm going to show you just for the effect. You want to make sure that your lines stay flush with each other. In fact, if you want to pin inside the template space before you cut, you can do that too. Every like 3 inches is good. And go all the way around. Go ahead and lost my scissors. I'm going to start sewing on this, and then I'm going to show you the next step, which is going to magically appear in the blue version. Ta-da! Okay, so we're back stitching at the top, or I'm starting under here, which you can't see. Everything is falling off the desk. Again, don't fold, just gently guide. And if you need to check as you go to make sure everything, stop every now and just make sure everything's still lined up. Especially if you're not using straight pins on this part, because you're in a hurry. Now, the only part I'm going to tell you to use a little pressure is when you get to the round parts like the toe or the heel. If you want to use a little bit pressure to kind of navigate at an angle, it's not going to hurt. Might give you a smoother curve. Just go slow and be gentle. Okay. Fast forward to the next step. Pardon me while I get my scissors from the floor. All right, pretend I've sewed all the way around, all the way up, and then I back stitch here. So I started back stitching, went down, all the way around up to here. 2 stopping points. Again, don't stitch the top part. Then you're going to turn this inside out. Like, take your straight pins out first. And then the batting part and the quilt top part, those two stay together. Pretend like they are glued together. And the backing part is not. Okay, so you're going to reach in and you're going to right side out Oh, hold on, before you do that, hold on. Before you do that, this is an important part. Okay, so right here, we've got a little bit of a curve. Right here, we've got a little bit of a curve, right? First of all, we want to trim off the excess if you have some, because we really only want like a 1/4 inch of fabric around the seam. Otherwise it gets really bulky and messes up the aesthetics, messes up our Christmas vibe. Whenever you have a curve on something you're going to be turning right side out, you need to cut little triangles. Now this helps, and I do like one every 1/2 inch or inch. I'm going to cut not all the way to the stitch line, because that would be bad. And then I'm going to cut an angle the other direction. This is decreasing, goodness. This is decreasing the amount of fabric bulk. So get real careful with that one. And it's going to let your curve better. You know, you can add a couple more depending on your curves, but anytime you're doing a stitching project, sewing project, and it has a curve, you need to make some notches. That's just what you have to do. Also, on an interior, same thing. The more extreme your curve, the more you want to do. This is less extreme, but I'm still going to do a couple just to show you. If you cut into the stitch line, you're going to have a hole, so don't do that. Ta-da! Also, I didn't sew to the heel for time purposes, but do that on the heel as well. And then if you were good about keeping, you know, pretty clean lines here, you're good, but trim off any excess that you need to. Then you take out your straight pins, reach down in the bottom like you're grabbing for something like a present, pull it all the way through, turn it right side out. Of course, I didn't finish stitching mine, but you're going to magically, ta-da, have this version. Yours won't change color. I've turned it right side out so that my quilt top and my batting are on the same side. And the other side, the backing is over here. So there's still 3 pieces, and I could stick my hand inside. You want to smooth out your edges, get them as close to that seam as possible, and then use your iron to iron those flat. And kind of work on your curved parts to really make sure that curve is showing nicely. And at the toe, so you can kind of wiggle your seam to where it's in its best spot. And you're going to iron everything flat. Okay, so we have now finished the exterior of our stocking. Here's the tricky part. Set this aside. You got your 2 other pieces, and again, I'm fast forwarding a little bit. You've got your 2 other pieces of fabric. Use that same template. I'm going to pretend like this is my template. This is my 2 other pieces of interior fabric, right? Pretend like it's not already cut out. I used my stocking template, just like we did in the last step. I traced around it, and then I cut it out. So now, and then I don't have contrasting thread on this, but I have started at the top, and I've stitched a 1/4 inch away from the edge all the way down. You can see here's my toe, here's the heel, and then all the way back up. I did not stitch across the top. That's a no-no. And I did my cuts here because I want to make sure that those are going to have room to turn. I didn't do my cuts here yet. Did them on the heel. So I'm going to make my cuts. Again, this is pretty important, but on this step, this is going to be the inside of your stocking. It's not going to be turned right side out, so it doesn't matter as much, but it's still going to get rid of some of that bulk. So this is the interior. Now, I've got my exterior and my interior. I'm going to place my exterior, oh my gosh, inside my interior. Do not turn this right side out. You want your seam to be showing on this inside piece, okay? This part always gets really tricky. Put the exterior, which is turned right side out, inside the interior. And just bear with me for this part where I wrestle the two. All will be well in the end. It's darkest before the dawn. This is going to look fantastic when we're finished. Promise. Okay, so now we've got a funny looking stocking trying to fit inside another stocking. What you want to do is line up the seams on the sides with each other. Okay, so the seams are lined up. And if you want to, you can trim that so that it's straight across. I think I might do that real quick. No, I'm not. My order cutter is on the floor. Okay, so we're going to keep our seams together, and you're going to pin all the way across the top. Make sure it's the batting, the quilt top, and the front piece of your inside. Those three pieces are together. And on this side, it should just be two pieces together. It's the back of your stocking and the back of the inside of your stocking. Does anybody have any questions so far about this process? I'm going to do this as quickly as I can so we can wrap it up before our time is over. So I pin these three together. Don't pin the back sides together yet, and I will show you why in a second. Okay, I'm going to bring my machine over, and I'm going to switch to the other camera. I want to tape the front part of my machine off that holds things to get into where my bobbin is, just because this piece is smaller, and it'll be easier to work my stocking around this. We're going to stitch from the left-hand corner of the front. You can see there's boys showing through. This is the front of my stocking. We're going to stitch from this side all the way to this side on the front, and then halfway on the back. You want to leave a little bit of an opening that you can fit your hand through on the back so that you can turn this whole mess right side up, okay? So I'm going to make sure I'm about 1/4 inch from the top. Back stitch. Each pin's out of the way. Make sure you're stitching through all 3 layers on that top. That's why pinning things is important. Okay, so I've stitched the whole front. I'm going to stitch half of my back. Back stitching. Okay, so you can see inside my stocking. Stitched all the way across the front. Stitched about halfway across the back, because you need to get your hand in there. Start pulling stuff the right way, okay? So this is the part where everything gets turned right side out again. Okay, so I've got I'm halfway done. You'll be able to figure this out better than me trying to explain it, but untuck. And get your hand down in there. And then retuck. Ugh. If you have bigger hands, you know, maybe leave a little bit more space. So my hand is in the toe of the inside. I want to make sure that meets up with the toe of the outside. So I really have to stick my hands in there. Now I've got everything basically tucked in where I want it, but I still have this hole at the top up here. So the next part, you want to iron the edges flat. You want to iron the top part flat. And this edge here, you want to kind of tuck it down to where it would have been if you'd stitched those together. So I still have this opening here. Iron this flat. I'm going to pretend like I'm ironing by pressing with my fingers. Okay. So this little strip I told you about, this is your hanger. It can be any color you want. You're going to fold it inside on the long edges, fold it in about 1/4 inch on both sides and iron that flat. Can you see where that is? And then once those are ironed flat, you're going to fold it in half lengthwise again. Now where the initial edges are folded, you're going to stitch down that line. So let me do this real quick. This is going to give us a nice looking hanger. You can reuse ribbon if you want, but this, except mine's going to be pink on blue. You don't have to backstitch on this. We're in a hurry. Turn your ends. Okay, so you can see I've stitched right along that edge, and I did it kind of in a hurry, but it's going to look good when you do it. Okay, then fold it in half again, like so. This is your hanger. This needs to go close to the side seam on your opening. Okay, just stick it in there as high as you want it. It's, you know, stick it in the opening here. And then pin it in place. Pin that whole section. Pin away. And then, once that's pinned in place, and the rest of your opening, you're going to pin in place here. I'm pinning mine on the other side. Okay, so that whole opening that's right there, you can do one of two things. You can stitch all the way around the front of your stocking and then back around the back of your stocking so that it's even on both sides. And that stitch line will close up this hole right here and it will stitch your hanger in place. Or if you don't want that stitch line on the front of your stocking like so, and you just like that kind of soft feel, you can just iron the front so that it's going to stay where it is, and start on the back side, stitch from close to this side all the way across to this side, making sure that you back stitch close to where your hanger is. And you take your pins out, and then you press everything. Where'd my ribbon go? Okay, so you can see on this one, on my front side, I didn't want a stitch line here. I thought it would be destructive. But I did stitch the whole back side all the way across, close to the top. And I made sure I got my hanger in there. You want your hanger to be close to the edge because of the way it's gonna hang. To be able to hold the weight of all those presents you put in your stocking. Or not, we don't put things in our stockings. They're just up because they're cute. But I wish that we had. put stuff in stockings growing up, because that's always kind of exciting. So if you have any questions, I am going to be posting the blog with all of the step-by-step instructions. If you got hung up on something and you need a refresher, this whole video is also, goodness, let me come back up here. This whole video is also going to be on the Michael's YouTube channel. We would love to see what you make. If you want to tag me at Smile and Wave to show us your creations whenever you finish those. Thanks for being here.
Awesome. I just uploaded a few links for everyone to check out, as well as the recording that will be uploaded in 24 to 48 hours. So thank you everyone for joining.
Thanks, y'all.
Happy
Happy
holidays.
holiday. Yeah.